Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. The press and the presidential election. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. It is no secret that most in the media despise Donald Trump, and coverage of the candidate reflects that. Talking Points is sure supporters of Hillary Clinton would acknowledge that, even if she herself gets pounded on occasion. That clear bias in hard news reporting is now reflected in a new Gallup poll. Before I give you the shocking numbers, listen to this soundbite from one of CNN's best hard news reporters.
But surely this can't be a case of a human being having an off day. Nope. Like so many things, Hillary, the media are having a field day. Off to the races with another debilitating case of indignant outrage. This must be another typical Clinton conspiracy to fool them with a total transparency breakdown. Talk about transparency breakdown. What about Donald Trump's tax returns? Where are they? Can't a girl have a sick day or two?
Sure. Now, Ms. Amanpour has had a distinguished career as a fact-finding journalist. So why is she giving her pro-Hillary Clinton opinion? She's not an analyst. How can viewers now accept her information, especially about the campaign, without being skeptical? How? Americans know what's really going on here. According to a Gallup poll, just 32% of us now trust the news to be reported fairly and accurately. That is the lowest media trust number in Gallup's history on the subject. The question then becomes, why is it so difficult to simply report in a straight way without a tilt? The answer, emotion. Editors of many press operations now believe they're on a mission to save the USA from a guy like Trump and the deplorables who support him. Same thing on the Clinton side. A few, and I mean a few, news concerns believes she's not honest and are out to get her. That kind of advocacy hurts the folks. Let me give you a vivid example. The Washington Post is about as anti-Trump as a news operation can get. Their top editorial guy, Fred Hyatt, bashes Trump almost every day and allows his uber left-wing columnists to run wild. So this week, the Post's hard news division has raised some valid questions about how Mr. Trump runs his charitable foundation. Our True Serum reporter will deal with that in a moment. But the Post story is getting far less traction than it might because the paper is so committed to hurting Trump. Therefore, some folks just ignore what the Washington Post reports. Now, some of you will ask, what about Fox News? From my vantage point in commentary, there are just as many FNC analysts who disparage Trump as support him. So we're balanced. As for hard news, we play it straight, at least from what I've seen, and I've seen a lot. Summing up, this coming presidential vote is extremely important for the country. We all know that. But Americans deserve honest reportage about it. Sadly, we're not getting it. And it's a memo. Now with the top story tonight, reaction joining us from North Carolina, Bernie Goldberg. And you say?
Well, this doesn't happen often, but you actually made a lot of sense, you know, in your talking points. Let me comment. Are you smiling, by the way? I don't have return video.
No, I never even listened. What did you just say? I wasn't even listening to you.
Too many people on the left think that Donald Trump is getting away with murder, that the media is not tough enough on Donald Trump, and too many people on the right think just the opposite, that the media is unfair to Donald Trump and probably goes too easy on Hillary Clinton. That explains a whole bunch as to why only 32% of the American people and only 14% of Republicans have confidence and trust in the media.
Okay, but I've stopped even reading most newspapers now because I know from an insider point of view, they're not telling the truth. The headlines are misleading. The hard news reportage is tilted. And I didn't want to pick on Christiane Amanpour, who I respect. I mean, you know, some people think she tilts a certain way in the Middle East, but I don't think that's fair. But here's this woman openly, I mean openly, and this is a hard news reporter on CNN. You know, come on, why don't you just wear a Hillary Clinton T-shirt? You know, what does that tell you, Bernie?
Well, you made the point that people won't pay attention if they think a legitimate news operation has already stacked the deck. I think that was the implication of what you said. I don't buy that. I think America in general is so polarized, and the media landscape in particular is so polarized, that people say they're against bias. They're not. They're against the kind of bias that hurts their candidate. So there are people watching us right now who are passionate Trump supporters. If I had 10 factually solid as a rock negative things to say about Trump, they don't want to hear it, and they'd send me hate mail if I ever said it. But on the other side, it's the same thing. The Hillary supporters want more condemnation of Donald Trump, and
But I think this poll goes further than that, because it basically asks about accuracy. It asks about information flow. And just the facts that are being reported now are being rejected by 75% of the American people. They think the facts are fabricated, made up, because they can't get a feeling of confidence. And that's what it's all about, of confidence from the vehicle, from the news vehicle.
They don't have confidence,
right.
But as I'm curious as to what you think of what I just said. They don't have confidence.
The zealots.
But they don't have a problem.
But that's not the folks. I don't think the zealots are the folks. I put it 20-20. 40% are zealots and 60% just want the truth. That's why I included FNC in this. Because, the rap on us, we're Republican or we're conservative.
No, and I think you made a very good point about that.
It's split right down the middle on Trump. I mean, our analysts are like one here, one here, one here, one here. And on Hillary, I mean, she gets a fair cut on this network. We're not, bringing in our hard news operation.
No, not in the hard news. That's right. That's right.
And that's the difference. That's what I'm trying to say. That hard news is falling apart in America now. Last word.
Can I give you? Yeah, let me just give you a personal story, very quick. In 2009, the New Republic, a very old Washington magazine that's basically for political insiders, wrote a piece about the erosion of trust in the mainstream media. And you ready for this, Bill? They named me personally by name as one of the reasons that the people have that one of the reasons that there's a poisonous atmosphere that has eroded trust. They also mentioned Fox News. So this is the thinking of people on the left. If you honestly point out liberal bias in the news, and you have documents and
they
proof
don't care
of it,
about that. They're going to hammer you.
They think you're the one who's responsible, not the journalists who are in fact biased.
Well, that's the definition of a zealot, and we have far too many of them in the media. Bernie, thank you. Next on the rundown, big Trump speech on the economy today. We'll take a fair look at it. Later, Waters going to a Trump rally to find out what's motivating the folks. Up ahead. In the next segment tonight, Hillary Clinton back on the campaign trail, speaking in North Carolina today. And Donald Trump delivered a big economic talk here in New York City.
It's time to start thinking big once again. That's why I believe it's time to establish a national goal of reaching 4% economic growth. Over the next 10 years, our economic team estimates that under our plan, the economy will average 3.5% growth and create a total of 25 million new jobs.
Wow. With us now to discuss specifics, Fox Business anchors Trish Regan and Maria Bartiromo. So you were actually down there, right?
Yeah. That was a speech.
Yeah, economics is boring. You ladies are exciting, but economics is boring.
We don't think so, but
okay.
I don't think it's boring.
But 75 million jobs is pretty optimistic, right?
Well, I think the headline here is that he's looking for economic growth, and he's got 4 parts to this plan. He thinks together all of those things will create economic growth.
It's a supply side plan, like Reagan, right?
Well, it's
cut corporate taxes, individual taxes, and then threaten Ford and the others who are moving jobs out.
It's tax reform. It's scaling back regulation.
Right.
It's tapping into the energy resources in this country, and it's redoing trade deals that he thinks are not positive.
Now, this isn't new, though, right, Trish? Have you heard anything
you mentioned
new?
Reagan, and Reagan did it and had quite a bit of success with it.
No, but I mean with Trump, this is what he said from the very beginning.
He said from the beginning,
right?
yes. We
Not
need
a lot of
lower
new information
taxes
today.
and less regulation.
Yeah.
But it was succinct. It was important for him to get out there, and especially in a venue like like that one. The
Well,
New York
he's looking very presidential, and he's surging in the polls. I mean, I don't know if surge is fair, but he certainly has momentum, Donald Trump.
One thing that is giving him the momentum is this regulatory speak, because a lot of people feel like they will take a cutback in regulation even more so than they'll take
Maria,
lower taxes.
You know, you speak to Wall Street and the business people, but Main Street I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The reason that he's coming up, in my opinion, is that people aren't happy with their economic circumstance. The folks, all right? They're not happy.
That's right.
They don't have any money in the bank, and they're getting squeezed, all right? But now they see that Hillary Clinton is falling down, that she's got a basket of deplorables, and so this all comes in. It's a confluence of social with economic. Am I wrong?
Well, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, think about every election. I really think comes down to how people feel about themselves and the future. Likability of the candidate matters as well.
Yeah, Obama won because of likability.
People liked him.
Absolutely.
Sure. You know, and when you look at Trump right now, he's talking about these issues that are so important to people. They're looking at their incomes, their family incomes, and they're saying, wait a second, I actually have less money now than I did when
in
President Obama took office.
1999.
Yesterday, and yet it's not true.
1999 was the high point of workers' earnings.
That's
In
absolutely
1999.
And you say, wait a second, okay, so what's my future? What are my kids' futures?
But connect the dots here for regulation, because he's talking about scaling back regulation. 3,000 rules were put into place last year alone by President Obama. New rules, more new rules this year. If you're scaling back regulation and lowering taxes for corporations, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to use that money to invest in their businesses and create
Hopefully
jobs.
they will.
So
all right, but he's a supply side guy. He's running on that kind of thing. Now, John Kasich did a very good economic job in Ohio. Would you both agree there?
Absolutely.
I mean, he really did. And he tried to explain it in the debates, and he got wiped off the face of the earth because he was boring. And I love John. All right? But you can't discuss this without being boring. So I'm wondering, you know, how Trump's going to handle it in the debates.
But it's emotional too, right? Because it's not just boring. You're talking about people's livelihoods. You're talking about
you have to do it.
their futures.
Trump is going to say, look, Hillary Clinton's on the Obama economy, and then Hillary Clinton's going to go back and, oh, we have the fastest job growth and wages are up. And
but think of these small towns in America, right? Where jobs, I mean, they have been decimated. You travel through parts of upstate New York, for example.
Absolutely. They're not feeling real good.
Rochester, New York.
That's
Buffalo,
not boring. When people start saying, oh, I'm more optimistic about my job, about my family's job, they're going to feel much more optimistic, if in fact he can deliver.
Yeah, I don't think that the economic play is going to be what tilts the debate. I think it's just going to be the demeanor of the two candidates.
I agree with that.
But
right,
it's fear too, right? I mean, it's economics, and it's also national security. I mean, it's all about security at the end of the day, and that's an emotional response.
Thank you very much, ladies. We appreciate it. Directly ahead. Now, both Clinton and Trump are being accused of not running their charitable foundations well. Both of them. Truth serum on the case. Later, Waters at a Trump rally, and those reports after these messages. Truth Serum segment tonight. College professors donating big to Hillary Clinton. No surprise there. And Donald Trump's charitable foundation under scrutiny for funneling money to non-charitable situations.
We have been concerned that the Trump Foundation may have engaged in some impropriety from that point of view, and we've inquired into it. We've had correspondence with them. I didn't make a big deal out of it or hold a press conference, but we have been looking into the Trump Foundation and make sure it's complying with the laws that govern charities in New York.
One footnote, Mr. Schneiderman and Donald Trump have been enemies for years. Joining us now, our Truth Serum correspondents, Shannon Bream, Washington, Eric Shawn here in New York City. So what is the primary beef about the Trump Foundation?
Well, basically that the foundation has been using other charities' money, giving it out as their own, that they have not given money to charities that they claim they did, and that Trump spent $20,000 on that big 6-foot-tall portrait of himself using charity money.
All right. So I know something about this because I have the Winifred and William O'Reilly Foundation. Now, we do not accept money from anybody else, all right? It's just money that's generated from BillO'Reilly.com and my personal funds. That's it. But Trump, he did accept money from other people who donated to him, and he put it in his foundation. They knew it was going in the foundation. Same thing with Hillary and Bill Clinton. Same thing. You donated to the Clinton Foundation, and then the Clinton Foundation doled the money out. So what's the difference here?
Well, you know, there was a case in Florida where a group didn't know or didn't that it was from this other New Jersey charity, because Trump was honored for that. So that's where the controversy is.
But I don't understand the controversy, because if the Clinton Foundation gets money from a guy in Kazakhstan, all right, and then gives it to somebody in Haiti, the Haitian people don't know who the guy in Kazakhstan is. Isn't it the same thing?
Well, yeah, I guess it is.
Okay, all right?
Yeah.
So I don't get the big scandal, and this is not a partisan deal. The other thing is that the $25,000 donation from the Trump Foundation to Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of Florida's campaign or something? Or
yeah, that was to a PAC, and that's the controversy that she allegedly, her office considering an investigation of Trump University at the time. They didn't do one, so everyone says, well, he paid $25,000 to pay her off to do that. They obviously deny this. New York Times now says the timeline is wrong. They say that this all stems from the Orlando Sentinel newspaper article, came out. 4 days later, everyone says he sent the check. It's not true. New York Times says the check was signed and dated 4 days before the article came out.
Actually, the New York Times, which despises Trump, is exonerating him?
Well, some could say that because the check was written before that article came out.
I have to tell you, I've looked at this case, and nothing is going to come of this Florida case. And the other one, you know, I think it's, to be fair, you should be very upfront about your foundations. All right? If you're giving other people's money, you should tell people, this isn't my personal money coming to you. This is a guy in Kazakhstan named Rudy, okay, who once knew Marco Polo, and then he gave money to me.
You wouldn't take it from Rudy.
All right. I don't take money from anybody.
Yeah, I like that.
For anything. That's a good policy. Shannon Bream has now awakened in Washington, and we asked her to look at the Ivy League schools, Harvard, Dartmouth, Princeton, that kind of stuff, top of the line, and how they're supporting the Democrats and Hillary Clinton. What did you find out, Shannon?
Well, you won't be surprised by this, Bill, but we looked, and over the last 3 election cycles, 90% of the donations made by faculty and staff at these Ivy League schools have gone to Democrats, just 10% to Republicans or others. But it's gotten progressively worse, because when you talk about this year, this presidential election year, the average is now 94% of donations that go out are to Democrats. Worst on the list, if you're looking at how unweighted they are, Brown University, Yale, and Penn, all there, 97% of their staff and faculty donations were to Democrats. Your alma mater, Harvard University, 94% there. And the least unweighted was Dartmouth College, where just 87% of the donations went to Democrats.
They sneak a few conservatives up there. But I heard that Brown in Rhode Island is 100% now. That the two people that did give the Republicans were thrown into the Narragansett Bay, and they're gone, and now it's 100%. Any truth to that?
It could be, because it was 97% when these numbers were collected. And so, yeah, if those folks are gone, it's 100% now. And these numbers were compiled by Campus Reform. It's this group that, you know, they track bias on campus where you're told things like you can't use pronouns he and she anymore. So they thought, hey, let's dig into the donations, and that's what they found.
All right. Shannon and Eric, thank you. Plenty more Heads Factor moves along this evening. It is the NSA leaker guy, Edward Snowden, a hero or villain? New movie by Oliver Stone praises him. Mr. Stone will be here. Also, Waters at a Trump rally.
Everything that I'm wearing, right down to the Allen Edmonds shoes and the union-made underwear, which I'll show you if you want, is American-made all the way through. Not that kind of party.
Excellent. We hope you stay tuned for those reports. Campaign 2016 segment tonight, new polling. CBS now has it tied 42% for Clinton and Trump, with two other candidates clocking in at 12%. This tally from likely voters, with registered voters, Mrs. Clinton is up by 2%, but likely voters is the most important. Just released Fox News poll puts forth that Clinton is beating Trump by 41-40 in a four-way race with likely voters. And here's something interesting. Fox asked about certainty of vote. 90% of Trump supporters are now certain they'll vote for him. 87% of Clinton supporters are. Finally, on the national scene, how are things going in the world today? To hell in a handbasket of deplorables? 57%. 38% say things will turn out okay. Also, new polling in Ohio and Florida by CNN. Trump up by 3 in the Sunshine State, by 5 in the Buckeye State. 2 states he has to win. In addition, a Monmouth poll is Trump gaining big in Iowa, where he's now up 8 points out there. So what is going on? Well, the 1-2 punch of deplorables and ill health have set Hillary Clinton back, no question. Her support was thin to begin with, and anything bad rocks it. Meantime, Donald Trump is now spending most of his time on policy, not mocking people. And so he is looking less like a loose cannon. His new team, much more disciplined than the old team, and the candidate seems to be reining in his inner Donald Rickles. But this new polling will be yesterday's news tomorrow. That's how fast things can change. The importance of today's polling is the designation of momentum. Trump now has that. And if Hillary Clinton has another health problem, just one more, things could get very dicey for her. Polling after the first debate on Monday, September 26th, that's the most important week in the campaign, that week right after Monday's debate. It's going to be fascinating. Record numbers of Americans are expected to watch the debate because the division in this country is so intense. Both candidates are going to be under enormous pressure. At Hofstra University on Long Island, if one of them cracks on that stage, that could be it. Now, we expect Hillary Clinton to come out on the charge, demonstrating her knowledge of policy and baiting Trump, trying to get him to say something mean-spirited. Next week on The Factor, we'll have a number of segments on the upcoming debate with lots of insider information. We're gathering that right now. Finally, many savvy Democrats are stunned. The race is so close in mid-September. Trump has no political experience. He's a bomb thrower. And the press, as we reported earlier, actively loathes him. But he's hanging tough, has an enormous amount of energy, and recognizes that things in America today are not great for working people. They're not. Hillary Clinton still has a powerful political machine behind her, while Trump doing it largely on his own. He does not have that machine. But on that debate stage, there will just be two of them. And by the way, this caught our eye as well from the FNC poll. It asked Americans whether or not they support Colin Kaepernick's refusal to stand during the national anthem. 32% support him, 61%, almost a double, do not. When we come right back, Oliver Stone on Snowden, then Waters at a Trump rally. Moments away. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly in the Personal Story segment tonight. Edward Snowden, hero or villain? As you may know, the former National Security Agency employee is living in Russia on the run from U.S. authorities. He is charged here with theft of government property and violations of the Espionage Act for telling a newspaper how the USA was gathering information about ISIS and other terrorist organizations. NSA Director Mike Rogers says the classified information Snowden made public, quote, has had a material impact on the agency's ability to generate insights as to what terrorist groups are doing around the world. Tomorrow, a movie about Snowden comes out. Here's a scene.
How is this all possible? Word selectors. Attack, take out, Bush. So think of it as a Google search, except instead of searching only what people make public, we're also looking at everything they don't. So emails, chats, SMS, whatever.
Yeah, but which people?
The whole kingdom's Snow White.
With us now, the director of the film, the legendary Oliver Stone. Now, I didn't get to see the movie, but I sent my producers out. Before we get into it, I want to know about you. Do you see the USA as a noble country?
Yes, in its intentions, yes. And I admire its history, much of it. And I grew up here, you know. I was a New York boy. My father was a strong Republican. He voted, certainly Eisenhower was his man. And he wasn't so happy when I went to Vietnam as an infantryman. I mean, he didn't see the need for me to go. But my father I admired him very much.
All right. So basically you were brought up in a traditional home, and you say now that you admire your country. Politically, you would say you were left, right? A little sympathetic to the Castro brothers in Cuba, Bernie Sanders supporter. So you'd be in a left-wing category?
You could say that.
Okay. Now, when you produce a movie like the Snowden film, you know that there's a lot of politics just in the film itself.
Yeah.
All right. So what did you want to get across in the movie?
I stay away from the politics. I really try to stick to my role as a dramatist. This is what I do. As you know, I did a movie about Nixon. I did a movie about Bush. And in both cases, I was less so because it was about the assassination and the investigation. But Nixon, they thought I was too empathetic to them. And as with Bush, I felt strongly that, you know, I was criticized by the left for not making him more demonic. So there's two roles here. There's me as a citizen talking, speaking out to you, and there's me as a dramatist who's telling a story.
But can't you, can you, I should say, as a director, and you have a script to work with, obviously you approve the script, you like the script. In this case, my producer reports this film is sympathetic to Snowden. It's sympathetic. You would agree with that.
Empathetic.
All right, empathetic, sympathetic.
No,
you know me, I'm not that well educated on the words, but it makes them look good, right?
Well,
in totality.
And it's for you to judge. When you see the movie, you come out, you know, it's not trying to lead you. I'm trying to lay out a story that happened between 2004 and 2013. And the story is exciting. It's thrilling. It takes you to a place that you've probably never been because we don't know a lot about the NSA or the CIA.
That's true. But surely you know that there's emotion attached to Snowden. All right, and how he's portrayed by you, the director, is going to influence how people either like or don't like the movie. I want to run a clip, and I want to get your reaction from this clip, by the president about Snowden. Go.
The way in which these disclosures happened have been damaging to the United States and damaging to our intelligence capabilities. And I think that there was a way for us to have this conversation without that damage. I think that as important and as necessary as this debate has been, it is also important to keep in mind that this has done unnecessary damage.
Okay, so not a conservative man, liberal man, Barack Obama. How do you react to what he said?
Well, he's also said the opposite. He said that it's brought up the conversation and the need for reform has to be discussed. And he, in fact, endorsed the Freedom Act, which was passed in 2015, which, although, you know, some people criticize it as being too moderate, but it was voted on by 200 Republicans, more or less, in the House, and 35 Republicans in the Senate.
I think most Americans want more security. We dealt with this yesterday with the hacking and the leaks in Colin Powell. They do, but at the same time, they don't want individuals like Snowden to go out with national security that could cost people's lives. And we've seen this on a number of levels. But I want you to react to President Obama. You have to take him at his word that he didn't think that Snowden's actions were good for the country. How do you react to that?
Well, I mean, we show in the movie his 2008 election and the promises he made for reform and transparency. And part of the problem for Snowden was that he didn't keep to those words. They doubled down on the Bush administration's surveillance and other forms of warfare that they created.
Isn't it possible that President Obama and President Bush know more about protecting Americans than Edward Snowden does?
I've heard that ever since I was a young boy in America. There's always a national security. No, I believe governments lie. I think that they protect their own interests to get reelected.
What's the interest, though, of it seems to me that the interest of electronic surveillance and all the things that you deal with and Snowden dealt with is to protect Americans from ISIS.
Well, that's what they tell us. That's what they tell us.
You don't believe that?
No.
Because
I think cyber warfare, we initiated. We took a global initiative in 2007, and we used it against Iran secretly. And even it's still classified, and we haven't admitted to it. But that Stuxnet virus got out in the world. It went through Iran, went to other countries like Jordan, and it went on and on. I talked to the guy who solved the Stuxnet virus. He said it took 7-8 months to find out what it was.
I can't speak to that because...
The point being that we started a form of warfare like... This is very serious because it's gone on and on and on, and now people are very smart. There's no secret to it. They picked up how to hack us.
Do you believe, though, this is being done? And you had some questions about the 9/11 attack, I remember, right?
I do. I question what the NSA and the CIA were doing to really protect us, as you say. I don't think they did a very good job.
But you don't think it's a conspiracy?
No, I didn't say that.
No, I'm not
I said that Michael Hayden fumbled the ball.
Okay. But that puts you on the other side of the issue, that if you want the protection of agencies, they have to have some, a blanket of ability to tap and to look
selected targets.
Yes,
and we have plenty of them. But why tap everybody? Why
they would say they don't tap everybody, that there are codes that they use in the NSA when they hear to go in. But anyway, what I'm trying to do is...
I noticed you made that point, but they do go back. They have a database. They can go back on anybody and find out all they want to know.
All right. But you don't think that this country is actively trying to persecute its own people through these devices, do you?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
But they do have an invasive ability beyond all measure, supported by a technological machine that is incredible now.
And we saw that with the Russian hackers coming right in.
Well, we don't know that they're Russian hackers. That's also another
Snowden told me they were.
No, he
No, he didn't. That's a joke. That's a joke.
No, that's the whole point about this. Cyber warfare started in 2007, and it has increased its capabilities, and now it's reached a point where anybody can hack practically.
It's out of control.
Including individuals.
Right.
And surveillance, Snowden called it a surveillance free-for-all.
All right. The movie is Snowden, and I'm sure it's going to go on a lot of discussion, which is what you like, right?
I think we should have a discussion.
I think so too, and that's why you're here.
Don't make up your mind in advance.
All right.
Just listen to the discussion. I think a lot of the values that Snowden stands for, you stand for too. And you've said so. I remember when I saw your first clip when you supported Snowden.
I don't want rampant invasion of privacy. Mr. Stone, we appreciate
That's good, and
your
on that we agree.
Okay.
Thank you.
Waters on deck. We sent him to a Trump rally. Chaos ensued. Right back. Back in the book segment tonight, why Americans are voting for Trump or Hillary Clinton. According to a Quinnipiac poll, most voters this time around will cast ballots against the presidential candidates rather than for them, meaning the motivation is keeping someone out of the Oval Office rather than putting them in there. So we asked Waters to do his own survey at Trump and Clinton rallies. First, the Republican.
Hillary said 50% of Trump supporters are a basket of deplorables. Which side are you?
I'm a deplorable because I'm for Trump.
Deplorable. You are an adorable deplorable.
That's right.
I probably am a deplorable.
You look like it.
Thank you.
Hillary maybe wasn't feeling well when she insulted half of America.
I ain't buying that whole dehydration, pneumonia kind of thing.
I'm not a doctor. She don't have pneumonia.
You may be a little overqualified for this job.
How do you feel about Hillary's comments about being a deplorable?
I just think she's really rude because I'm a veteran. I'm a law enforcement officer. We raise good kids. You know, I don't really know what's deplorable about myself.
You're the best dressed guy at the Trump rally, besides me. You're the only Trump protester here at the event. Are you lonely?
Well, no, I think there's a few behind me, but who's counting?
There's two.
You know, Joe the plumber, I'm Michelle the insurance agent.
What are you wearing?
Khakis.
Tell me, are you more of an anti-Hillary voter or a pro-Trump voter?
I'm 1,000% pro-Trump voter. Everything that I do is Donald Trump all the way through. We can't have Hillary Clinton.
I'm anti-Hillary.
I'm not thrilled with either candidate this time, but my wife over here convinced me to vote for Trump.
So you do what your wife tells you to do?
I didn't get there by being stupid.
You're totally right. I'm sorry.
He's a businessman. He knows how to run a business.
Tell me what you dislike about Hillary.
She lies.
When people say we're going to make America great again, how do you interpret that?
And stimulating our economy, taking care of the crime.
Bringing jobs back, fighting for health care.
I do like the Family Leave Act, the tax plan.
The immigration. Lock it down. I mean, we lock our doors at home. Why don't we do that with the country?
You're coming into our country. Show me who you are. What's wrong with that?
You just want to see Melania in the White House, don't you?
I like to see Melania in general.
There's Secret Service everywhere. Relax.
He says what we're all thinking.
What are you thinking right now?
I'm just excited to be with you.
Calm down.
Do you ever have any doubts about President Trump?
No. Personally, no.
No, because he's got the gumption to do it.
No, not really.
You got to look past all the media bull. Serious.
What are you suggesting, my dear man?
Do you think Trump's mouth could be a national security threat?
No.
What about his hair?
Love it.
When Trump says nice things about Putin, does that bother you?
No, I like that. Putin's very strong leader, and I think they need to get along.
Would you like to see Trump ride around horseback shirtless?
No.
Come on, man.
Don't want to see him, Putin, doing it either, you know?
Anything you want to tell Bill O'Reilly?
I love you, Bill O'Reilly, and I watch you every night.
Keep up the good work, Bill. I really dig your show, man.
I go to bed with you every night.
Is she thinking what I'm thinking?
Need a bigger basket out there, huge crowd to fit all these deplorables in.
We have big crowds, but we have no deplorables, I have to say.
Can you believe she said that?
No, I can't. I was surprised and I was disappointed, and I think it was a horrible thing to say.
Have you read Bill O'Reilly's new book yet?
Well, I will. He actually writes good books.
Whose world is it?
It's Waters' world, all the way.
So Trump was at the Trump rally?
Yeah.
He was.
When I ran into him, he goes, Waters, how about those polls?
Yeah, I know.
He's jacked up about the polls.
Now, next week, you're going to go to a Hillary Clinton rally,
yes,
right? And the time went to the same questioning. She's back, guys. She's in North Carolina today.
Yeah.
But we'll have that for you on Thursday. And then a special Waters World on, I'm not going to say what it is, but if you miss this on Monday, your whole life you will regret it. All right? Because it's that good. It better be Waters.
I haven't shot it yet.
It better be. All right. Factor tip of the day, a major key to your success. If you want to be successful, listen to the tip. Moments away. Factor tip of the day in a moment about success in life. But first, a premium member alert. Smoking. No spin news report tonight for you guys on BillO'Reilly.com. Deals with personal attitudes on both Clinton and Trump. I hope you're going to like it. If you don't like it, let me know in the message boards, all right? And if you do become a BillO'Reilly.com premium member or re-up, you get my new book, Killing the Rising Sun, absolutely free of charge, along with a copy of the Constitution. If you already have Rising Sun, you can select any of my other books. What a great deal. Now the mail. Brian McDonald, New York City. Bill, have you heard about the Hillary Clinton Parkinson's theory? What say you? Here's what I say, Brian. It would be insulting to Factor viewers if I were to speculate on anyone's health. I have no blanket idea about another person's medical condition. Those who foolishly delve into these matters are irresponsible. Andrew Smith, Colorado Springs. Bill in Colorado pot shops. Take your ID and scan it so people cannot go shopping and assemble large quantities of marijuana. Quit demonizing pot. Drinking is way more serious. Intoxication. A serious social problem has harmed untold millions of people. And you are wrong about the pot shops in Colorado. You can cruise through those things and buy plenty. Jonathan Reed, Ford Belvoir, Virginia. As a military family, we are boycotting the NFL because of Colin Kaepernick and the other protesters. We no longer respect the NFL. The league is in a tough position, although it did discipline Chicago Bears quarterback Jim McMahon years ago for wearing a headband with a personal message on it. The individual teams have the right. They have the right to instruct their employees to obey team rules. The solution to the social injustice dissent is this. All teams in the NFL should set aside times and spaces for dissenting players to discuss their beefs with the press. All right? Here's the time. Here's the room. But once customers come to the stadium, every player should respect the rules the team puts forth. The San Francisco 49er franchise believes Kaepernick is hurting the product, then it can legally prevent him from doing that. There you go. Ray Shinosky, Farmington Hills, Michigan. My father served in World War II and never talked about it. After reading Killing the Rising Sun, I now know why. The fighting in the Pacific was beyond brutal, Ray, and I'm sorry your dad had to go through it. Every American should know what happened there. Maria Schatz, Watertown, New York. I really hated history in high school, but now after reading the Killing books on Legends and Lies, I like it. And you are smarter for it, Maria. And finally tonight, the factor tip of the day, as I reported last night, in its first day in the marketplace, Killing the Rising Sun, sold more than 100,000 copies. Amazing. Upon hearing that, I remembered back in the late 1990s walking the aisles of a Barnes & Noble store on Long Island. At the time, I was trying to sell my first book, a novel called Those Who Trespass. I was getting nowhere. I was actually talking to myself in the Barnes & Noble saying something like, am I ever going to get a book published? Ever. At the time, the factor was a success, but the publishing industry didn't care. I kept trying, and I kept writing, and I fought the urge to feel sorry for myself. Then I broke through. Small House published Trespass, a bigger publisher put out the O'Reilly Factor book. The rest, as they say, is history. So here's a tip. Persistence in life often makes a difference, not only in business, but in personal stuff as well. Do not give up. If you feel you have something to offer, do not give up. Factor tip of the day. And that is it for us tonight. Please check out the Fox News Factor website, different for BillO'Reilly.com. Also, we'd like to spout off about the Factor from anywhere in the world. O'Reilly at FoxNews.com. O'Reilly at FoxNews.com. Name it down if you wish to opine. Word of the day, a Goldie, an oldie Goldie. Coxcomb. Do not be one. Do not be a coxcomb when writing to the Factor. Again, thanks for watching us tonight. I am Bill O'Reilly, and please always remember that the spin stops right here, because we are definitely looking out for you.